after the global lender confirmed that it was mobilizing funds to help the country repay its 2 billion Eurobond maturing in June next year. I mean, Ken, you have the history of this because you're very passionate about debt and its impact on the economy. This maturing bond has been quite a concern because for the longest time we have not seemed like we are in a position to cater to this. Where are we coming from and where are we in regards to this first?
Well, you're coming from a situation where there has been concern about our ability to repay the $2 billion Eurobond when it matures on June 24th next year. And I think those voices were getting to a crescendo. And that's why the president, during the State of the Nation, had to address it because it was something citizens were asking, investors were asking, no, even Mambogas knew what the Eurobond was. So I think there was a need to address it, and it has been addressed conclusively. So I think that will pacify the market, which is a good thing. The only concern is on the advisory opinions of some of these rating agencies that say often when you prepay a bond, when you buy a bond early, in some segments it can be considered a default. So I think that's just the one caveat that needs to be tied off nicely. Okay. Then this issue is really put to rest.
Okay. Prof, our debt situation has always been something of concern. And I'm glad that a lot of Kenyans now are in the loop, because for the longest time we had very, good times. During Kibaki times, nobody was thinking about debt. And now with the Uhuru regime, it started stockpiling and raising a lot of situations. Then there was that famous question: what is the debt to GDP ratio of Japan? You remember to Mark Masai, which is everyone's like, okay, why Japan? And all of a sudden we started taking interest in that, and now I believe majority of Kenyans are in the loop. So far, the way the government is handling this this debt situation that we've seen, especially marking the government borrowing, in the local market, we've always had an oversubscription, and also they're taking more, which seems to be quite a concern or a blessing in disguise.
Borrowing in the domestic market is not a blessing, because it, as we had said earlier, it crowds the market. It makes the private sector to go down in business, because when the government has taken everything, that now makes the money not to be there for them to operate, and credit also becomes difficult, because every other person now takes the money to the government securities, and it means that there is no money left in the economy so that we can do business with. In terms of our debt, yes, it is important to settle that debt, and those plans are important so that we can come back to the international market, international capital market specifically. That is critical for us so that we don't lose that credibility. I think in the past we have been wondering of whether we are going to default or not default, and it has been causing concern. So taking a step that the debt be repaid, okay. The only problem is if we go the IMF route, then we must go by conditionalities, and that will actually be sometimes difficult to the ordinary person. Always, every time IMF has given support, it becomes the individuals down. That is the mamambogas, the people, ordinary mwananchi will have to tighten the belt. Yeah.
And I mean, that issue of conditionalities, Ken, especially touches on a raft of taxation measures. That's where it touches on Kenyans generally. And I mean, from IMF's perspective, they seem to be sort of pushing you to achieve your potential so that you can be able to be stable from their perspective. Because, I mean, being the lender of last resort, it's like, oh, you've hit rock bottom, so we're trying to help you, and to help you is going to cost you. Yeah? Now, with those measures, those conditionalities, as Prof puts them, we just saw this issue about Treasury losing 133.5 billion shillings, where the Treasury is in fear of losing 133.5 billion shillings in projected revenue in the current financial year, following a drop in motor vehicle and fuel imports, as well as lower sales of beer and spirits and cosmetics than earlier projected. In the latest budgetary, of course, outlook paper, the Treasury says that the target of 2.58 trillion shillings in ordinary revenue was based on projected tax receipts for the last financial year ended June, which, however, were considerably lower than estimated. So it seems when we implement the conditionalities, then there is lower collection. I mean, as government, because it seems very easy, lower the taxes, collect more. Why is that a difficult decision to make?
Well, the nature of consumption taxes, such as VAT and excise, they hurt on aggregate demand. So fuel became more expensive, alcohol becomes more expensive, so people consume less. And therefore, the taxes that you get from those transactions are less. So I like your point about a country meeting its revenue potential. And the World Bank has a target of about 15% tax revenue to GDP. I think the challenge is how you get there, because the destination is as important as the journey. It's very easy for Kenya to meet that target of 15%, but if you go through consumption taxes, higher VAT on everything, you will not hit that target. And if you do, you'll almost have a politically unstable country, because everybody will be up in arms. So I think the IMF, the Bretton Woods institutions, they also need to guide countries to move towards progressive taxes. So yes, you have a lot of revenue potential, but you will not achieve it by loading it on mamambogas, on the VAT. Let's shift this towards a more progressive, and let's move away from consumption taxes. I think that's the nuance that has been missing. And I think if Kenya can make that shift, we can even hit 20% tax to GDP without feeling the pain that we are feeling.
Yeah, Prof. I mean, especially the private sector. I mean, some of these pointers have been said time and again. But I think also to give the government the benefit of the doubt. When you are campaigning, it's one thing. Yeah, when you're in office and it's dynamics, it's a totally different ballgame. So just looking at the way the president has navigated this issue of taxation, and with the Finance Act that we've seen, and now the implications that we're seeing in regards to projected revenue, I mean, do we stand a chance? What are some of the long-term interventions that could be utilized to sort of be the antidote to some of these effects?
It's back to square one, which is what do we need as a country? What do we consume? Are we able to produce that which we consume? That is, are we able to feed ourselves? So that is one of the perspectives that will actually help alleviate what we are facing. Let's have a situation where we are able to produce that which we consume. Number two, what is it that we get from out, and what can we do ourselves? Let's engage in small-scale manufacturing so that we are able to get some of the things that we import that we could have as well been able to get from within. So it's important to look into the industries, the small-scale industries, the manufacturing industry, the private sector that is dealing with manufacturing. Let's not disadvantage them in terms of uncompetitiveness, in terms of taxation. So that is another way. And then number three, then let us now attract capital to come from outside, because what we have been facing is the situation of capital flight, we are having money going away, even the people that have been investing around. Let's bring the money inside, attract the foreign direct investment, FDI. If we do those three things, we feed ourselves, we manufacture the things that we can be able to, we need that we normally import, and we bring in the money, FDIs, then we should be okay as a country, or we should be in the path, the right path. But of course, with the taxation, too much of it will actually affect us. We had spoken sometimes back about what we call laffer curve. You try to tax people too much, then they will pay little. Or also, you will encourage some kind of illicit kind of trade going on. Like I think the people manufacturing beer and the rest are complaining that now they are taking illicit kind of products. Also, the middle class are now moving to lower level kind of thing. So it is important that we really look into this issue of taxation and see what is the best that we can do for it.
All right. Incredible. Gentlemen, I'm tempted to introduce a segment. I don't know whether this will be permanent. Yeah? But you know, you never know. Life keeps on moving. But I believe you all are learning people who are very curious each and every single day of your lives. So starting with Ken, like, what is that fascinating thing that you've learned this week?
Oh, this week?
Yes.
That's a difficult one. But I think looking at the outlook we have for next year, you know, this week has been a lot of people, management teams, thinking about what do we expect Kenya to be next year. And I think there is a realization that Kenya is a very blessed country. Kenya is a country that can attract a lot of investors. Sometimes you find foreign investors are even more optimistic than Kenyans themselves. And I don't think we squeeze that orange enough. And I think we actually should. And I think that's a big realization that's coming up.
Definitely. Prof, I know you deal with students. Most likely you know the latest songs in the market. You're trying to catch up. But what's that one fascinating thing that really caught your mind this week?
I'm looking at us from a national picture. We have been having a lot of rains. What are we doing with it? You see, it should not just be raining and then destroying the properties. We should actually think in terms of that rain. How do we trap it? How do we make it change our environment? At a personal level, Noah, when it rains next to where you stay, maybe if you are staying next to a small piece of land, do some kitchen garden. Let's have something that will actually spring out of it. Let's not just let the rains to go like that. They can we can tap something out of it. So from an individual point of view, what are you doing with the rain? And from a national point of view, what are we doing with the rains? What are we, how are we utilizing all that rain? Are we trapping it somewhere so that when we have drought, we have something? Are we making a dam? Are we thinking in that direction from a national point of view? Is there some money being set aside to construct a certain dam somewhere so that we can actually be having water for the time of drought? So those are some of the things that I've been looking at this week.
Wow, yeah. Incredible, sir. I'm thinking of supplying speedboats. Gentlemen, what a week we've had. Thank you very much. This has really been fun, man. I think as I grow older, I'm learning to relax and just enjoy life, you know? But thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much, Ken, for making time this Friday to discuss these key, burning, and very important issues from the world of business. We really do appreciate you, all right? All right, and thank you very much for joining with us throughout this week. You've been consistent. You've been amazing. You've accompanied us. You've given us strength to finish this week, and we cannot say thank you enough to you. My name is Noah Kipkimboy, and have yourself a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Up next, we have Mbiu ya KTN. Stay tuned and have a blessed weekend. Gentlemen,